What's up, guys? So I wanted to kind of steer clear from the videos that I've been doing and kind of go back to some videos, like my old school videos where I would do like my favorite blah 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 in video games. I haven't done one of those in a long time, and I had the notes for this one for a while, so which is why I've got my Disney villains shirt on. It's the ladies. It's Cruella de Vil, Maleficent, and Snow White Witch. Does she have a name? She has a name on Once Upon a Time, and her name is Regina. I don't even think she had a name. That's sad. So yeah, let's talk about my favorite villains in video games. I'm not gonna order these. I hate doing that because it always confuses me because I like them all for different reasons. But I will tell you this, that the last one that I mentioned is probably my favorite villain of all time for video games. So to start off, I'm gonna start off with probably one of the oldest ones, I think. I remember seeing him since I was a kid, because I would play this game since I was a kid. Ganon, or Ganondorf, from Zelda. I think he's freaking classic. He is like your ultimate... I'm sorry about the glare if it's too much. I hope that's better. I'm getting closer because of the damn glare. Cause it's like, oh! Yeah, Ganon. He is freaking awesome. I love him so much. I think he always looks different. He tends to look similar in every Zelda game, but not always exactly the same. But yeah, I always loved him. I always thought he was so cool. I really loved the way that he looked like in Zelda Ocarina of Time. For some reason, I loved him in that game. I thought he was really awesome. But yeah, I think he makes a good villain. Not only how he looks, but he's kind of menacing, and I mean, as menacing as Nintendo villains get. But yeah, I thought he was always cool. So he's always been one of my favorites. Now the rest of these are in more recent video games, just because I have bigger reasons as to why I like them. From The Witcher 2, Letho. I really liked his character because he was also a Witcher. He was like Geralt, but like an evil version of him. So when you first see him, he's like disguised or just cloaked with this. You can't tell who he is, but you look at his eyes and you're like, oh my god, he's a Witcher. The Witcher 2 was a very challenging video game to play, because it was hard. But fighting Letho, you needed even more like strategy. You needed to strategize a little bit more with when you were fighting Letho, because he was like you. All the different magic skills like Quen and all those different ones, he could use them too. So it was just like, oh, it was frustrating, but at the same time really challenging, and just like, oh my god, this guy's so cool because he's pretty much like me, and in some ways he was a little bit better than Geralt, and like Geralt really had to like give it his all to take down Letho. Next is a video game that I've actually never played, but I saw a full Let's Play of, and that is Metal Gear Solid, and the villain was Psycho Mantis. Psycho Mantis was so cool. I've heard and I've seen how difficult the fight was between you and Psycho Mantis. He had like telepathic abilities and stuff like that, and he was like seeing into your saves or something like that, and he could see your like previous games that you had played and like look into your saves and like mention them, and I was just like, oh my god, this is freaking awesome. And not just that, but like his abilities, but I really loved his character, his personality. I thought he was such a cool villain, because when you take him down after the boss fight with Psycho Mantis, he is pretty much dying, and he is talking about his when he was younger, and how he became Psycho Mantis, and why he became Psycho Mantis, and how he was like you, and he starts to really connect with you, and you start feeling bad for him almost, where you're just like, oh my god, this is sad. Like he's like this evil guy, this evil villain, but at the same time, you're just like, man, this guy's like you start to really see why he was who he was, and how he's a lot like you, and how you could relate to him, and you start feeling bad for him. And I think that's such great writing for a character, especially an evil character, when you have the ability to connect with them and not only hate them but feel bad for them and almost start to excuse them for what they're doing, like saying, oh, but it's not his fault, or blah blah blah. And that's always an awesome feeling. So that's why I really liked Psycho Mantis. If I can, I really want to play Metal Gear Solid, just mostly so that I could experience that fight, because I thought it was so cool. I thought all the villains from Metal Gear Solid were really awesome. But Psycho Mantis was one of my favorites. Next is Flemeth from Dragon Age. She was in Dragon Age Origins and in Dragon Age 2, and she's most likely going to be in Dragon Age 3. And well, no, not most likely. She is going to be in Dragon Age 3. She has that cynical old lady humor that I just find hilarious. When Morrigan takes you to her hut in Dragon Age Origins, for those of you that haven't played Dragon Age, Flemeth she's not so much the main bad guy, but you can tell that she's kind of a villain. Like, she helps you and all that, but you're just like, she's up to something. She's gonna do something. It's just like, something's up with her. You just can't trust her, and you can't help but think that something is going to happen, that she's going to do something, that she's been asking your help for little things, for weird things, which that she just asks you for, and you're just like, okay, what? But it's not going to really tie into anything. It's not really going to answer any questions in the game. It's gonna, you foresee it for later on, and you're gonna be like, oh my god, why did I do that? I feel that that's what's gonna happen, where you're just like, oh crap, that's what she was planning. Like, she's just like this schemer, and she pulls off the crazy lady thing, especially in Dragon Age Origins. In Dragon Age 2, she was like more evolved. She wasn't that crazy lady anymore. She was more of like, she had this sorceress feel to her, where you're just like, she's powerful, and you don't mess with Flemeth, because you know that she's a dragon, and you didn't really know this in Dragon Age Origins until later on, and you were like, what? First meeting her, she's like this crazy old lady, and she's just like laughing, and she has that crazy old lady laugh, and it would crack me up. It was like her disguise almost. Like, nobody would have guessed that she had so much power, because of the act that she was pulling off. I mean, it was always like, like this sense of like, should I trust her? I don't think I should trust her. Like, I feel like she's probably gonna kill me and eat me or something like that, put me into her stew or something. Morrigan starts to explain the story of Flemeth, and she's been like, she's been evolved. Like, she's super old, because she keeps her pretty much her mortality or her immortality from taking the essence of her daughters and all this. And Morrigan is afraid, because Morrigan's Flemeth's daughter, that's going to happen to her too. So she's like, she tells you, you got to kill Flemeth. You got to kill my mom. And you're just like, what? I'm not going to kill her. So that's how I reacted. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? I was like, I'm never going to be able to kill her, because I thought she was going to be super hard, super powerful. And she turns into this dragon. And she was pretty hard. If you're a low level, forget it. But once I had to level up and all that, and I was like, all right, let's go. There is really, at least not now, there really is no killing Flemeth, because she always comes back. She came back in Dragon Age 2. She looked even cooler. She had like this I love how they made her costume, or her outfit, and the accessories that she has on her head look like a dragon. The thing that she has on her head looks like the horns of the dragon, and she's just so cool. I love Flemeth. She doesn't really show her colors yet, and it just has you like wondering, like, what the hell, what's gonna happen, what the hell does Flemeth want, what is she gonna do? I have a feeling you're probably gonna have some kind of encounter with Flemeth where you have to pretty much take her down in Dragon Age 3, because she's probably planning some like crazy thing or something like that. Another one of my favorite villains is, I'm sure you guys guessed that he was going to be on my list, is Saren from Mass Effect 1. Saren was such an awesome villain. I thought he was so cool, and I kind of missed that in Mass Effect 2, because Mass Effect 2 didn't have your like your representation of a villain in a body, in one character, you know? It was like the Reapers or the Collectors, and you're like, is the Elusive Man a villain? He's kind of helping me, but you don't really fight him. There's no boss fight with the Elusive Man. And Saren was a full-on villain that you have to have this boss fight in Mass Effect 1, and it was so cool, and he was done so well, and his background, he's just such a great character. If you know everything about Saren and how he became to be who he was, and just every little detail on his body, and the way that he thinks, and why he joined with the Reapers, and how he's pretty much got the council. I mean, he's so bad, but he gets away with a lot of things because of how manipulative he is, and how he has the council pretty much in his pocket. I just love that. I love how he looks different as a Turian. He's like more, I guess you would call that in Turian terms, he's more of a like an alpha kind of alpha male, just because of how he looks. You know, like with lions or whatever, the one with the biggest mane or the bigger one is usually like the leader or the alpha male. Other lions are kind of afraid of him. I think that's why Saren looks the way he looks. He's just one of those Turians that has more pronounced aspects of a Turian. Like, he's got those things that are longer that no Turian we've ever seen has. They have them shorter, so I think he's just more of like an alpha male kind of thing. If you've read Revelation, the book, the first novel, it goes a lot into Saren's past, and how he screwed Anderson over, and how he became interested in the Reapers, and just his whole scheming started from then. I won't go into detail because I want to do a Mass Effect talks about specific characters, and Saren is definitely one of them. And then he's also in the Evolution comic, which was really cool because you got to see when his brother dies. So yeah, Saren, freaking awesome. He's got like freaking Reaperized arm, and he's got Reaper tech in him. For those of you that don't know, he's got Reaper tech. So that's one of the ways that the Reapers were able to indoctrinate him so easily. But one thing that I love the most about Saren is that you could tell that he was being indoctrinated throughout the whole game, where in moments he would become himself again, and you could see that doubt in his face. And one of the best moments in Mass Effect, there's two ways in the end. There's one of them is Saren killing himself, and there's another one where he doesn't. And I believe I got the one where he doesn't, because I don't remember seeing him kill himself. But I've seen this scene, and I'm just like, dude, that is so cool. I mean, not that he killed himself, but just that he was struggling so much that he knew that he was like, I'm being controlled here. That's it. Like, I'm not going to continue with this. And he just puts the gun to his head and kills himself. And then the Reaperized Saren comes. And that's what I loved so much about Saren, was that he had those internal struggles. Even though it seemed like he was so sure of himself and so sure of what he wanted, he ended up doubting it, and like internally he was just struggling with it until he just couldn't put up with it anymore, and he put a laser to his brain. Another one of my favorite villains is actually from the DLC Awakening from Dragon Age. The villain, he was also seemed to look like he was your friend and he was doing something good, but he wasn't. Dragon Age really does that well, where they take characters that seem good or that seem bad, but at the same time you could see the good in them. Or you could see why they did it. Another character that I actually didn't put on my list that I just remembered because Dragon Age did this with him too was Lowgain. Lowgain is kind of considered a villain, but at the same time he's not. Like, he's got reasons for what he did, and sometimes you almost understand them, especially if you read the books, the Dragon Age books. You're like, I could see why Lowgain did what he did, even though it was bad, even though you're just like, that jerk. You do understand more about why he did it, not only from the books, but also if you get Lowgain on your party, and you don't kill him. I did kill him, but I've seen scenes and his party banter if he were to join your party, and he says why he did what he did, and he had a reason, and it's not just because he's evil or because he wanted to kill everyone. He has his reasons, and but yeah, like I said, Dragon Age does that so well with so many characters. But this character in Dragon Age Awakening was so cool. He's like an evolved form of Darkspawn, and he's just so cool. I loved him because he actually spoke English, and he was smart, and he was just like, he wanted the best for both worlds, not just for the Darkspawn, but for everyone. And he was just like, this is the only way to do it. If we don't do it this way, our kinds are always going to be killing each other. But you were just like, no. Like, some of your party members would even agree with him. They were like, he's right. It's the only way to do it. I couldn't side with him, even though he's such an awesome character. His voice was awesome, the way he looked, and just the idea of him being an evolved form of Darkspawn, a smart one that was actually trying to solve the problem to so many years of Darkspawn and people on surface. I don't want to say just humans, because they've been fighting the dwarves for years, and everyone's just been in war with the Darkspawn. But he wants to put an end to war as well, and it's just like, damn, he's trying to do the same thing that we are, and he's just like, these are my people too. He's like, the Darkspawn are my people. So it makes you feel like, what gives me the right to kill them, and not the right for them to kill me, because the architect really makes you see that. It makes you see that it's kind of like in Gears of War with the Locusts and the Queen. They're just like, we are living beings as well. Like, what gives you the right to attack us, but we can't attack you. You don't see them. You start to see them in a different light. Because of these characters. In Gears of War, it was because of the Queen, but in Awakening, it's because of the architect, because there's finally somebody that could speak out for them and saying, what gives you the right to kill us? We can't, it's not right for us to kill you, but why is it right for you to kill us? Another villain, and he's kind of like, I don't know, he's not like your typical villain, is Alduin. Alduin from Skyrim. He's also known as the World Eater and the Dragon of Destruction. He's like a god, pretty much, that had been gone for who knows how long, and then he returns. He's so cool. He's a dragon. Yeah, Alduin. I just love that title. Freaking the World Eater. That is so cool. I mean, he's just so cool. I haven't played fully through Skyrim. I've always said that's a myth. To beat Skyrim, you just can't beat Skyrim. It's so big. It's such a huge game. Every time I hear mention of Alduin and all that, it's just I get so excited. I'm just like, man, it's so cool. I love that concept. I can't wait to see the actual ending of Skyrim, to see what happens, what kind of role Alduin has in it. But yeah, Alduin is just super awesome. Even if you don't see him, just the concept of him, and how he has returned to the world, and he pretty much wants it destroyed, is just so cool. Another one of my favorite villains is the Elusive Man. The Elusive Man is one of those. I think you've noticed that I tend to like characters that kind of seem bad, but at the same time, there's like they're not always bad. Like they have their motivations that seem good. You're just like, well, okay, he's not super evil, where all he wants to do is kill you for no reason, just because he wants to kill you. That's not his motivation. Like, he has a motivation. It's probably not as a great motivation. And one of the best examples is the Elusive Man. The Elusive Man just thinks about humanity, and he wants the best for humanity, and he really wants to solve the problem with the Reapers, but his methods are kind of questionable, where you're just like, dude, that's not the way to do it. But he is set on his ways, and he wants to control the Reapers, because he says that's the only way. That's the only way we could do it. Don't destroy them, because they're so powerful, and how could you destroy something like that? He feels that controlling the Reapers and not destroying them would be an advancement for humanity, to have that type of technology and that type of power. So he wants to get rid of the Reaper threat, but in ways that where you're kind of like, dude, I that doesn't sound right. I liked him more in Mass Effect 2 though. He was super cool in Mass Effect 2 because you didn't know what to expect from him. You were just like, I don't trust this guy. I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know what he wants. He was so much in the shadows that you just didn't know what to expect. And you were just like, dude, this guy's planning something. He didn't really have that anymore in Mass Effect 3. He was just, I don't know, it was like he was showing his colors now in Mass Effect 3, and which was obvious that he was going to do. They kind of had to make that reveal, but I don't know, I just missed that whole, like, in the shadows, Elusive Man, where he's just like, and you're all, what's he up to? In Mass Effect 3, when he was at the end, I was expecting like a really powerful argument between you and the Elusive Man. I mean, it kind of happened, but it wasn't as powerful as I would have liked it to be. I was expecting also some kind of like boss fight with him, but that didn't happen either. I guess they didn't really treat the Elusive Man as a big villain. I think they should have, though, because I think he made a pretty awesome one throughout Mass Effect 2 and in the books as well. You still, even in the books, you still don't know his intent, especially in Retribution. You're just like, man, this guy. This is number 9. He is also from Dragon Age. He was in the Legacy DLC for Dragon Age 2. The Magistrate from Dragon Age 2 Legacy. The Magistrate was so awesome. And I think the coolest thing about the Magistrate, I mean, if you don't know that much about the Darkspawn and about the Tevinter Imperium and how that all started and how the Darkspawn came to be, you probably didn't make a big deal about the Magistrate. But if you know about the history there, it's like, oh my freaking god, this guy is to blame for the Darkspawn. The Tevinter Imperium pretty much is to blame in the past for the Darkspawn. The Darkspawn used to be people. They used to be humans, and then they got corrupted because of what they were doing. And the magistrates in the Tevinter Imperium had everything to do with it. Like, they were the ones that pretty much led all of this to happen, the Darkspawn and everything, and for people to get corrupted and everything because of how bad they were. This freaking Magistrate, he thinks he's still in the Tevinter Imperium during that time, like before the Darkspawn, and he thinks he's still there, and he's talking in this way where you're just like, oh my god, this guy, he's like pretty much been frozen, kind of. And it's like you took a magistrate from the Tevinter Imperium way back when, and you froze him, and then you woke him up in the present. And he's just like, what is this? He's like talking in like this old school language. And you're just like, he's talking to, I forgot who he's talking to, but someone, like one of the gods, I guess, or something that they believed in and all this. I think it was one of the Grey Wardens, the crazy Grey Warden that was with you. He's like, oh my god, he's the one that's telling you. He's like, he's a freaking magistrate from the Tevinter Imperium, and he thinks he's still there. It was just like, oh my god. He kind of looked like the architect. He was kind of like an in-between. Still human, but in between Darkspawn, where he was kind of like maybe wanting to turn into a Darkspawn or whatever. Just knowing the depth of what that means and who he is like, it's just freaking awesome. It's so mind-boggling at the same time, where you're just like, especially for a huge nerd, like for a Dragon Age nerd, that you know what that means. It's like, holy cow. It's probably one of the biggest things to ever set foot in a Dragon Age setting. I wish he was like one of the villains for a full-on game. That would have been so cool. Finally, the last one of my favorite villains, the one that I told you is my number one villain ever. I'm sure you guys know who it is. I've said this in the past. I absolutely adore her, and she's one of those characters, again, where you're just like, is she bad, or does she just not like me, or what? GLaDOS from Portal. Oh my god, she is the best villain ever, in my opinion. In video games, by far. But she's up there in one of my favorite villains of all time. Just because of how awesome she is. She's hilarious. I've never laughed so much from a game specifically than with Portal, because of all of those lines that GLaDOS says. Freaking GLaDOS is like one of the funniest characters ever. She's so hilarious. And she just disses you the whole time, but she does it in such a cold way, where she's like, don't take this personally, you kind of thing, where she disses you so bad, and she like tells you how nobody wanted you, and how like you how you were like put into adoption and your parents didn't want you, and all these bad things. And she's just like, I'm just telling you the truth, it says right here in your file. It's just like freaking GLaDOS, dude. She's so awesome. I love her. In Portal 1, she was obviously the villain. You had your boss fight with her, and she wanted you dead. Like, she was gonna kill you. But I mean, she's a robot. She's a freaking, she's not human. She's synthetic. You find out later that there's more to her in Portal 2. So she's got that cold side to her, but it's not so much that she's cold, it's more that she doesn't have any feelings because she's a robot. But at the same time, she does get pissed, and she gets, even though she pretends like she's not butthurt, she gets butthurt because of things that you do, and she's just like, yeah, I could totally see her just like reacting, like facial expressions to the things that you do, where she's just like, oh hell no, you did not just escape that. You're heading to your death. And she's like all excited and everything, and you escape. And she's like, what? She tries to like lure you and stuff. She's like, oh no, I'm not mad anymore. Oh my god, I love her so much. In Portal 2, she was different. She was very different. She actually started to not be so much of a villain and kind of like help you out, which is really cool too, where you actually were able to side with GLaDOS, or GLaDOS depended on you, and it was more like, she's like, okay, I didn't mean any of that stuff that I said. So now she's like trying to like get your help, and because she needs your help. And you end up having to help her. You like have this partnership in Portal 2 with GLaDOS, and she's just as hilarious. For her to be a freaking robot, there's so much to her. And when you find out her past and how she became to be who she is just even cooler. Where you're just like, oh my god, it's kind of sad at the same time. GLaDOS is so used to being herself, so used to being GLaDOS, that she's just like, whatever. Even though you laugh at what she's saying and you love her character in Portal 2, because you had destroyed her in Portal, but when you get to in Portal 2 and you see her body all ripped apart, it's like the graveyard where she was left. You see her head and you're just like, oh my god. Like, there's this sinister feeling there where you're just like, if she were to wake up, I am so dead. Because she hates you so much. And then all of a sudden her eye turns on and you're just like, oh. Even though you love her so much, there is this like sense of fear there where you're just like, oh my god, she's gonna kill me. She's being formed back and her body's going back together and you're just like, oh my god, and you're trying to take advantage of that moment where she's getting back together to escape and you just barely make it out of there. Please do yourself a favor and go play Portal, but don't start with Portal 2, start with Portal 1. Portal 1 was freaking amazing and it was super short. I don't understand why anybody would not play Portal. It's so good. So good. And even, I mean, if you're just like, I don't like to do puzzles, the story gets so good. If you liked Portal 2 and you haven't played Portal, go back and play Portal. You will love Portal. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Those are my favorite villains of video games. I'm really interested to hear what you guys think. Do a video response to this. I love video responses. So yeah, do a video about your favorite villains, or just put them in the comments. I usually try to read all the comments that I can and respond to as many as I can. So yeah, I'm sure I left out a bunch of villains that are really cool. Try to stay with main villains and not like minions. Not like, oh, I love the Darkspawn, or oh, I love the Combine, or something like that, you know? Just try to stick with main villains, representations of a villain, you know, where it's just one character or whatever. Why haven't you mentioned so-and-so? I probably never played the game, or I just didn't really like the villain. So yeah, that's why I'm interested to know what you guys think, because I'm sure we all have different tastes when it comes to villains. I hope you guys enjoyed this. So I'll talk to you guys later.